So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first event for this year's Black in Data Week. My name is Natasha Wooten, and I'm currently a civil engineer in Washington, D.C., as well as a portrait photographer and the graphics design lead for BlackTIDESdata. So if anybody's living in the Washington, D.C. area, if you need a picture or anything, you can feel free to hit me up. I will drop a link to my social media in the chat. Today's speaker is Sherry Dial, and she is a consultant and internal auditor who focuses on increasing profitability and customer retention to spur growth. And now I will turn this over to Sherry.
Thank you, Natasha. I really appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, perfect. So welcome to Black in Data Week. I'm really excited to be here. I feel like this is such an incredible honor, and I appreciate everybody who's helped to organize this and who has taken time to tune in. This is going to be an incredible week, celebrating current and future Black data professionals all week long. And I really enjoy being a part about something like this because I feel like if I have enough armor around me as I go along in my journey, it's really going to be really impactful. So thank you. So just like Natasha said, I am an internal auditor. I won't go too much more into that because I thought that was a really great introduction. I do want to just share a couple of things that I think is really important before I dive right in. It's just the power of building relationships and connections. And also when you're thinking of careers, think of aligning yourself with people who empower you to make decisions and motivate you and kind of give you free range, if you will, to be innovative. I think that's so crucial. And I know I've found that to be very true in my careers in data so far. And I think that's just something I really wanted to share up front. And I hope you find that to be valuable and helpful. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to share straight away. There is gold, if you will, when people are looking for improvements that relate to data. And they are both qualitative and quantitative. They're both extremely critical to finding success and improvement in whatever it is you're doing. I want to define really quickly what qualitative data is and then go to quantitative data. I'm going to spend a lot of time on the quantitative data piece because that's where my niche is. That's what I focus on with my personal business. But just like I was circling back to qualitative data, it's just data that does not involve numbers. It's like your human experiences. So if I was to give an example of, let's just use a client who would like to know more about their school district. They want to understand better how their school district is performing against similar sized school districts. And they also want to know, very specifically, how does that impact certain demographics, certain groups of people? They want to use very specific information to be able to do that. And they want to come out with a better understanding of how they can serve their school district. The qualitative data piece of that would simply be focus groups, interviews, different things where you're talking with humans and you're getting their perspective. The quantitative data piece of that, which is the one that's defined by numbers, is very specific to graduation rates, standardized testing, things like that where you're using numbers. So in this example, let's just say, if I wanted to, like I said, evaluate this school district, what I would do is focus on the quantitative data, that piece. I would evaluate the instructional practices to make sure that there's like an inclusive environment. I would actually do all that using the very specific information that I was talking about earlier, which is the graduation rates, standardized test scores, course enrollment, because all that can be grouped together and you can look at outliers or you can compile it to analyze it. So again, both are very important, qualitative and quantitative data when you're powering growth through a business. But what I specifically focus on is quantitative data. And the reason why I do that is because I like numbers. I'm one of those people, I think I've heard numbers is like the vegetables of the business world. I like to eat the vegetables, and I actually enjoy spreadsheets. I know that sometimes gives a lot of people hives. And so that's why I actually find my success working with business owners who are saying, you take care of that piece. That is your expertise. I will rely on you for that. But I know how important it is. So just circle it back to the example with the school district, like I was alluding to earlier. When we're looking at the quantitative data piece, like I was specifically saying, the method in which you would do that is you want to identify trends and patterns on a group scale. So we're taking all those number-driven information and we're just looking for trends and patterns. A lot of times decisions are made based off of what we feel and our gut and what we think, or maybe just narratives that we've heard in the media or in our own personal experiences. The data actually tells a different story because it's objective and it's independent. So that's where I like to stay, and that's why I've chosen a career in the quantitative data piece. Let's just get really excited about something that I really enjoy is just the benefits of a career in data in general. These are just some really cool benefits, and I want to read them to you because I don't want to miss anything. So the data industry is booming with job opportunities across all sectors. Over the past decade, the demand for data-related careers has grown significantly. So like even this week, as we're gonna be listening to different speakers, you're gonna hear from different people who talk about geospatial analytics and Python and NAM analytics platform and building data visualization and Tableau and all these really, really cool things. That is just like a really significant part of how much this career in data is driving. And it's really specific to a couple of things. Something called Internet of Things, where a lot of the way we live our lives is dependent upon technology. So I can go a little bit deeper into that. Here, let me show you. So like technology, Internet of Things is basically improves the efficiency and enhances convenience and provides valuable insights. So if you're thinking of what are those examples, it's like your smart home devices, like your Alexa and your thermostats that actually are more electronic, or your security cameras that can be controlled remotely, like your Ring devices, or technology that you wear, like if you're trying to use your smartwatch to determine how much you're standing versus how much you're sitting so that you can make better health choices, or just anything like that. Those are like your Internet of Things. And that is just way more in demand as we become more in this digital age. And so that's why a lot of careers in data have such a growing demand. There's a lot of diverse roles. Of course, we are going to hear from people today who have expertise in data administration and, like I said, computer analysis. These are all just really cool, diverse roles. So it's not just one thing that it's focused on. There's an extremely high earning potential. I want to share something from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics to kind of support that. That for the median average annual wage, it's about $104,000 as of May 2023 that you can earn in a career with data statistics, data analysts. And honestly, this is much higher, significantly higher than the median annual wages for other occupations, which is typically around 48,000. So that should give you some insight as to how lucrative or how impressive a career in data would be if you so chose to explore that. It's very impactful work. A lot of, especially when you use data for good, I do want to emphasize using data for good. It's a very powerful tool, but you want to use it for good. So, you know, in my world, we could use it for fraud investigations. We can use it for compliance, making sure that businesses mitigate against financial loss. There's going to be different avenues and different people, I'm sure, that are going to speak about how it impacts health industries and different things. It's very impactful in that way. It's filled with continuous learning because, like I said, just the growth and the expansion of the field itself is what kind of drives the fact that it's not stagnant. You're going to continually learn about different things as we continually explore more about digital convenience and benefits. I really like number 6, the interdisciplinary nature, because it feeds right in with what we're doing here this week. I love that Black Tides has a mission that pretty much say we exist to support the growth and development of Black professionals in data, including tech, information, data science, epidemiology, and social science. That's really like the crux of interdisciplinary nature. It's when you're combining a lot of different fields like computer science, mathematics, business, and engineering to just really work together to achieve so much more than it could on its own. And of course, contributions to society is very similar to the impactful work that I was sharing earlier and the career growth and stability. I mean, if there's a demand for it, you definitely know you have job security. But what I want to focus on for the remainder of this portion is the entrepreneur opportunities. And that's specifically because I have taken advantage of the entrepreneur opportunities within the careers and data. So let me talk a little bit about my educational background and how that ties in. I am an accountant, more specifically an internal auditor. And a lot of people will ask, well, what does that mean? And I use it in the context of how I help other businesses. I help small businesses that sell products, so product-based small businesses. I help them grow using data and analytics. There's a lot of different things that go into that, but I think for the most part, people are really interested in how can you help solve my problem using your skills, knowledge, and ability as an internal auditor. And so that's where I usually land with that. Excuse me, at the beginning of my career, I started out working with different organizations. They were federal agencies and Fortune 500 companies and large scale organizations. And I realized I really enjoyed how they just went about things with a systematic, disciplined approach. That horsepower, that analytical horsepower that they used got me thinking this would be really beneficial to small businesses. This would be really beneficial to entrepreneurs or partnerships or people who are startup or trying to create a startup. And so that's where I like to land as far as I work with mission-driven organizations. I will say that's a bonus of having your own business. You can select your client roster. And I really enjoy that because it makes the work so much more meaningful. It makes it very impactful to me and to the world at large. And so I appreciate that. Almost 3 years ago, that's exactly what I did. I started my own business. And let me jump here. And the benefits of doing that was I got more flexibility. I was able to create my own hours. I started out as a 1099 independent contractor. That's one of the benefits that I can have as opposed to like a full-time on-site in-person employee. And then I'm able to actually take my expertise and continuously hone it and revise it and refine it so that I reach a more target specific audience. And I think that's really important because the more you can niche down, if you will, your expertise and make it very clear exactly what you do and who you serve, that's really going to impact your sustainability. It's going to cause less confusion with your customers or your avatar customer. And it's going to help you be able to scale. You can actually share what it is that you do and people will be able to follow it much better because it's very, very specific. So, excuse me. A little bit more about how I started my data-centric business. In the very early stages, I was known as the business builder. And a lot of that is because I was very clear on how to build a business working with Fortune 500 companies. One of the biggest pieces for that is corporate governance. Corporate governance is when you create a system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled by. And this is typically established by the board of directors or your top management. Because I understood that that tone was set at the top by management, whenever I was working with startup companies or partners or different people who are individual still business to business, B2B clients, but they're owning their own business. I was able to be very instrumental in guiding them on the importance of creating corporate governance, creating a system of rules and standard operations. I didn't create it for them because that's something that they needed to do, but at least I was able to guide them in the importance of that. And that all comes from just the knowledge, skills, and abilities I had from my past performance. Another thing that was very critical when I was the business builder in the early days is risk management. Is really helping the people that I work with and serve with understand that a system is necessary, especially when you want to identify and analyze financial impact of loss. Cash flow is what makes the business run, and understanding what is causing a lack of that or where you're overspending, an auditor type analytical mindset really helps identify those risks, because that's what you want. You want the business to understand its risk, not avoid them, but in turn manage them. I found that work to be extremely satisfying. I was very passionate about it, but as a single member LLC, it was also very overwhelming. So I decided I'm going to keep that information, and I'm going to, like I used the words before, niche down. So I still kept a lot of the same pillars of success. So let's just say for pillars, it's just the 8 core things, the 8 core key areas that I found that whether I was working with someone as as an employee, when I was working with them in the corporate or federal sector, or working with a smaller business, I found 8 key areas that really drove success. And this is what I still maintain to this day. And a lot of that is you want to implement a systematic approach to how you perform your business. That's the methodological evaluation that you want to focus on. And then you also want to work closely with business leaders to provide precise, confidential, and insightful information. That's the part where that honesty and integrity, that people can feel safe working with you. That's a core key area that I used in my business before, and that I use in my business as I continue to niche down and find a more specific target market, target customer. Process improvement, you want to focus always on enhancing the process that directly influences profitable growth and customer retention. Keeping your customers longer will lead to sustainability of a business. I'm not saying that you should deal with any sort of inappropriate or unexcusable behavior from customers. I'm not using the terminology the customer is always right, but I do think that if you understand the importance of finding your target customer and making sure that you're doing the things, meeting their value, adding value to them, meeting their needs and expectations, that you will keep them longer, and you just continue to bill and charge and draw down from that. With number 4, continuous learning, it's imperative that you continue to learn and evaluate and research and test. You're always looking for root causes for things, because you're dealing with people. People change, their experience change, their perspectives, just the way they see things, kind of what I was explaining to you earlier about the qualitative piece. It's a human experience with all that comes with that. So that's going to continue to change. So it's very important to continue to change with that. And with number 5, solutions proposals, just want to dedicate every effort to proposing effective solutions based on a thorough analysis and understanding the business needs. Understanding the business needs is one of the very first things that I do whenever I work with anyone who's new, a new client. I really need to understand, how do you currently operate? I need to understand your goals, your procedures. It's best to understand the lay of the land, if you will. Then from there, use your analytics to help you reach the goals that you're trying to achieve, and not reverse. You don't look at the analytics and try to achieve a solution without first understanding the business. Customer retention for number 6 is extremely important. I've already really touched on that as to how important it is, but definitely analytics can help build customer loyalty and long-term engagement. Revenue growth and profit maximization, number 7 and number 8, is very simply just that. You want to look at risks that impede the revenue and the profit growth, and you want to look for opportunities that provide success for that drive that. So the way I do things with my specific business as an internal auditor, as a business consultant, is I'm using data to solve a specific problem for a specific customer. I am removing the guesswork on how they can boost sales. The sales is what, especially for small businesses, that's what's most important, and not from like any sort of negative perspective. It's what quite literally is going to keep them alive. Cash flow is what's important for a small business, especially in those early stages. If you know anything about a profitability curve, usually in those early days, you spend more money, especially if you're selling products, than you make money. You kind of make it a little bit later, or you just decide that you're not going to do the business at all. But that's very important to understand, that removing that guesswork, because small business owners especially wear a lot of different hats and they're very busy, that you can help them, empower them to make better decisions. So I leverage myself or position myself as a trusted expert who is very knowledgeable in data and analytics. And I'm going to use information directly from your dashboard, more specifically your Shopify dashboard. So I specifically target customers who use Shopify to sell their products. The reason why I like that is because Shopify uses real-time data. As soon as an order comes in, especially if the business owner has an app, it gives them an alert. They're able to make, they can make a decision right there if they want to fulfill that order, go to the store and ship it. It's just so timely, it's so accurate, it's so complete, and all that gets aggregated or compiled into their Shopify dashboard into some reports. And then I can look at those reports and provide them more information about their customers, more information about where their customers are coming from, their top selling products, things of that nature. So again, when I started off my business, it was very specific to being a business builder and just being very instrumental in corporate governance and risk management. And then the beauty of having a career in data is that you can be flexible, especially with the entrepreneur opportunities, and you can focus in on a more specific target. Actually, it's more so encouraged. So like I was saying with the pillars of success, my mission remains the same. I'm still committed to finding ways to increase profits, revenue, and increase customer retention for the person I'm working with. But I'm constantly evolving, and I'm constantly finding ways to niche down to become more specialized to attract a specific customer, which will lead to more consistency. So in the, you'll see where I started in my career as with corporations and federal governments, and then I moved to small businesses, and then I became a little bit more specialized into just product-based small businesses, because there's the difference between that and service-based. And where I'm at right now is product-based small businesses that sell products on the Shopify platform. And that's kind of how you want to think about anything that you're doing, is where can you continuously refine and hone what it is that you're doing so that you can look for data, look for solutions in the data to answer some of your questions. I'm gonna do a really deep dive because I frequently get asked, show me what you do, tell me what you do. And so I'm gonna do a really deep dive into something that I think is important for people to understand and this is also something that if you were to see a Shopify dashboard, this is kind of the things that you would see as well. What is the customer's problem? For the target audience that I was sharing, about 95% of Shopify stores fail due to cash flow. The competition, negative reviews, all that's kind of like the stats for the first year. And then about 80% of the Shopify stores fail within the next year. So That's a pretty significant problem. That journey isn't always smooth. And what's even more interesting is that about 52% of Shopify store owners are women. So just without all the specifics, we can pretty much derive that about half of the Shopify owners that are failing are women. And I found that to be such a huge problem that that's where I wanted to kind of like um, draw my attention to. And the reason why is because I feel like women they historically play a really significant role in decision making, especially regarding their families, but they just don't have like sometimes adequate support to be able to fulfill those things. And they're constantly in like survival mode, trying to manage their family and their business. And I thought this was also interesting that according to the data from JP Morgan Chase, the number of businesses owned by Black women grew 50% from 2014 to 2019, representing the highest growth rate of female demographics. So you have a cohort of individuals who are trying to manage, balance, grow, be community minded, independent, and yet the problem is their business is failing at an alarming rate of 95% in the first year, specific to the Shopify platform, and 80% in the second year. It doesn't have to be that way. That's where data and analytics come in. Data and analytics will actually share some of the main reasons why these failures occur. You don't have to guess. Well, with my specific business, I don't have expertise in product offering. I'm not going to even touch that. Marketing strategies and SEO, there are specific experts, like I use Thrive Local Marketing and different things like that to help with those things. I don't touch that either. Where I stay is something very specific, again, niching down, is suboptimal customer service. I can find the information to improve customer service just by looking at the Shopify dashboard. And the best way to do that is to form a hypothesis as to why you think a product isn't selling or why you think something's not working, and then take action. It's really important to implement a system even when you're taking that hypothesis, to implement a system and just track and see what's happening. Your customers staying longer. It's really important that you actually know your customers, and it's important that you continuously use the data. So I want to really quickly share with you a case study on how a small business used our data-driven solutions to attract their target customers and repeat those customers, and have actually boosted sales in less than 2 months. So the first thing is, this is a real company with real data. This is real financial data, but they've asked that I redact their name. So it's a fictitious name, and it's called Soul Glow, is what I'm going to fictitiously call it. But just for the purposes of having you understand exactly what I'm saying is the importance of your data and how it can help you drive growth, is understanding in February 2024, this company, Soul Glow, had the most sales. It was $1,364 worth of sales. And through analytics and historical data, I was able to circle back and see that that $1,364 was 3 times higher than what they made, or that the sales that they had a year ago in that same month. So that really is helpful for comparisons. And then their second highest month was December of 2023, and the February sales were 1.75 times higher than that. So it just really gave credence to how well they did in February. So that client that I'm speaking with could just start thinking at that point, what happened in February? What did I do differently? That's what data allows for you to do. It gives that sort of thought process. And again, this was very specific to this company. You want to also use data to aggregate it and categorize it based off of meaningful metrics or meaningful ways. This one is really meaningful by quarters. If you're looking, you can see the very top quarter is Q1, January, February, March. Of course, that's specifically because we already identified that February was the highest sales in general, and it makes sense that Q1 would be, but it's also important to note what happens in Q1. That's something that as a business owner, you can start to think and better understand, um, you can better understand how the data impacts you. And then finally, you want to understand what actions had the most impact on those sales. So like we were saying, February 2024 had the most sales. The idea isn't just to repeat everything you did in February, because most likely you would not even know, is to replicate the actions by looking at what actions did you take and what can you learn from those actions. So when you're looking at data, one of the biggest things is understanding where sales come from, website traffic, conversion rates, first time versus returning customers. You're more than likely to get your sales from returning customers. Cost spent on the cost that you spend on new customers versus old customers, and understanding when your customers leave. So I'll just talk really quickly about one of these things, which is the conversion rate. How many people actually visit your website, which is the sessions? How many people actually put something in the shopping cart? How many people actually check out and convert to a sale? As you can see from April, May, and June, the conversions were over, well, this one's close to 3%, but the other two were over 3%. Usually best practices are around 3%. So this can tell the business owner what is happening in April and May for them to kind of like know their own business and understand that. And then the months where it's lower, the conversion rate's lower, it can also help them to decide, I want to do a target market marketing campaign to try to do ads and different things, because I want to draw more people to the website and have them check out and increase conversion. So all of that to say that, this information provided SoulGlow, great key metrics and performance indicators that directly link to their goals, which is to boost more sales. And it helped them with information that they were able to share with other people on their team. They were also able to improve their customer experience. They, from there, had the energy and the confidence to revamp their website and put more top selling products at the top in their H1 header on their website, which is where most people who visit your website come and see first, which also will lead to more strategies. And then when they're meeting with other industry leaders for mentorship or feedback, they could utilize their data and ask very specific questions, get very specific answers, all because they know their business really well from a data standpoint and not just how they think they're doing. There's an emerging role of artificial intelligence in everything, and internal audits and data analytics is no exception to it. It's already migrated into internal audit with its powered risk analysis. And a lot of these AI platforms tout that they are more powerful than traditional compliance activities and can produce more significant organizational value. And I do agree there's a lot of value in AI. I use it for a lot of different things, like even something as simple as having a meeting with a client where I have AI reading notes to make sure that I get everything that's needed so I can focus on them and then review the notes later. But the one thing that I will say about artificial intelligence and its role in internal audits that I do really appreciate is it doesn't negate human value, human interactions. You have to know exactly what you're looking for, what prompts to put in, what to do whenever you're working with AI, or else it's not functional. It does not help you. So while it makes things a lot better and smoother and more efficient, you still as a human have to have the analytical mind to understand what to put in it. And that's why I'm able to use AI as a way to collaborate as opposed to something that will actually just make the career itself just become obsolete. And just to wrap up, I want to share that internal auditing is very impactful. It's a highly respected profession. Like I said earlier, it's seen as a symbol of corporate responsibility and governance, but it can also have a lot of transferable opportunities and benefits that can open up a lot of doors in other areas, including entrepreneurial opportunities like what I've done with my own business. And all in all, whether you're using it for corporations or for startups or for your own entrepreneur activities, it provides a roadmap for growth and it guides towards efficiency, effectiveness, and sustainability. If anyone's interested in like a free consultation, I would love to chat. I have all my information here. But I definitely want to say that understanding the importance of data and analytics and how it can power growth is something that is very important. And I hope that you understand just how important that is, and that you will consider data and career as a palace of a hidden gems, and look and explore just as far and as wide as it can go. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sherry. That was a great speech.